Inside every life, there comes a moment when the world goes quiet, when the noise of people, the expectations, the judgments, the failures, the broken dreams, the regrets, the wounds, all of it fades into the background, and what remains is the soft, trembling truth of who we really are. And this story begins in such a moment, on an ordinary evening, with an ordinary person who had spent years believing he was meant for nothing extraordinary, a man who carried the weight of forgotten ambitions, abandoned projects, and silent battles no one ever saw. He was the kind of person who looked strong on the outside but fell apart in the dark, the kind of person who cheered for others but doubted his own worth. And though he never said it aloud, every night he slept with the fear that life was moving ahead without him. But life has a strange way of awakening the sleeping parts within us, and one night, after yet another day of disappointment, he found himself walking alone through empty streets, his thoughts heavier than his footsteps, asking the same question he asked 1,000 times before. Is this all I'm meant to be? The cold wind brushed past him, as if trying to answer, but the reply came from somewhere deeper, from a place he had long ignored, a place where courage had been buried under years of hesitation. And suddenly he remembered a story his grandfather once told him, the story of two wolves inside every human, one made of fear, doubt, laziness, insecurity, excuses, and the belief that life is too hard, and the other made of courage, discipline, integrity, hunger, resilience, and the unshakable belief that we are meant for more. And his grandfather had said, "These wolves fight every day, but the one that wins is the one you feed." For years, he had fed the wrong wolf without realizing it, feeding fear every time he gave up, feeding doubt every time he hesitated, feeding weakness every time he lied to himself about trying. And in that moment, standing beneath a flickering streetlight, he realized the truth. His life wasn't shaped by fate or luck or destiny. It was shaped by choices, small choices made every day, and every choice fed a wolf. That realization didn't fix his life instantly, but it lit a spark, small but real, and that spark pushed him to take a step he had avoided for years. He decided to start again. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when life became easier, but now. He went home and made a promise to himself. Not a loud promise, not a dramatic declaration, but a quiet vow spoken into the darkness. I will feed the right wolf. He woke the next morning before the sun, not because he was motivated, but because he was tired of being tired. He pushed his body when it begged for comfort. He studied when his mind screamed for distraction. He worked on himself when no one was clapping. And with every uncomfortable action he took, the wolf of courage grew stronger. But change doesn't come without resistance, and life tested him. He faced failures, setbacks, ridicule, exhaustion, and the familiar voice inside him that whispered, "See, this is why you always quit." But this time he didn't quit. He kept showing up. He kept trying. He kept fighting. And slowly something inside him shifted, not in a sudden burst of glory, but like dawn slowly replacing night. People around him noticed the change, not because he bragged about his progress, but because he became quieter, more focused, more intentional, more alive. Opportunities that once ignored him began to appear, not because the world had changed, but because he had. His discipline carved open doors he once thought were locked. His consistency built skills he never imagined he could master. His courage attracted people who believed in him, supported him, and inspired him to rise higher. And through this journey, he learned one of life's greatest truths. Success is not a miracle, it's a process, a long, painful, beautifully unpredictable evolution where you lose yourself 1,000 times just to discover who you were meant to be. He began to understand that real success wasn't about applause or followers or trophies or recognition. Real success was found in the quiet victories,
waking up earlier than your excuses, working when it's easier to rest, staying committed when no one is watching, believing in yourself when no one else does, refusing to break even when the world gives you every reason to. As months passed, he outgrew the version of himself that once settled for less, and people who once doubted him now asked how he changed, but he never answered. Not because he wanted to hide the truth, but because the truth was simple to understand, yet difficult to live. He fed the right wolf. His life transformed, not overnight, not suddenly, but through countless moments when he chose growth over comfort, courage over fear, patience over frustration, purpose over pleasure, and truth over excuses. And eventually he became someone he never thought he could be. Someone strong, someone focused, someone disciplined, someone inspiring, someone alive. But this story doesn't end with him achieving success. It continues with you, because if you are hearing these words, there is a reason. Somewhere inside you, two wolves are fighting right now. One is whispering that you are not enough, that your dreams are too big, that your past defines you, that your mistakes are permanent, that comfort is safer than growth. And the other wolf, the right wolf, is whispering something different, something powerful. You are capable. You are stronger than your fears. You are not finished. You are meant for more. Your story is still unfolding. The question is, which wolf will you feed? Because your future will be built by your answer. Every action you take today moves you toward the person you are meant to become. Every sacrifice you make sharpens your destiny. Every difficult choice shapes your evolution. You are not weak just because you are tired. You are not lost just because you cannot see the path. You are not broken just because life has wounded you. You are growing in ways you cannot measure yet. And one day, someone will look at you and say, "How did you become this strong?" And you will smile, not because you reached the top, but because you remember the nights you almost quit, the moments you could have stopped but didn't, the days you fed the right wolf even when the wrong one was louder. Your journey is not a race, it is a transformation. And the world is waiting to see who you will become. So stand tall, breathe deep, take the next step, and whisper to your fears, "You don't lead me anymore." Because greatness is not born, it is fed. Feed the right wolf.